Are you in good shape? Are you ready?
Always ready.
Always ready, okay. I don't know, maybe we just let you talk and we go
Oh,
take a
yeah.
grab drink.
No, we just wait. Ah, there's the jingle.
This is the whole countdown.
Attention, attention. Aandacht, aandacht. Ceci n'est pas un exercice. Dit is geen oefening. Les personnes désireuses de participer à la rencontre publique sont priées de se rendre immédiatement au bar. De personen die willen deelnemen aan de publieke ontmoeting worden verzocht zich onmiddellijk naar de bar te begeven. La rencontre commence dans... De ontmoeting begint in... 5, 4, 3, 2, 1...
Goeien... Micro. Pardon, micro. Goedenavond en welkom op deze publieke ontmoeting met Brad Anderson, regisseur, scenarist en hij zorgde ook voor de montage van de film Session 9. Anderson studeerde onder andere aan de London International Film School en regisseerde al 3 films voorheen. Die zijn The Darien Gap, Next Stop Wonderland en en Happy Accidents, die ook vertoond worden op het festival. Vanavond zagen we de Session 9, een wat psychologische ghost story, waarover hij ons nu wat meer zal vertellen.
Bonsoir, ce soir à la table, Brad Anderson qui est venu ici présenter son 4e film, qui a étudié entre autres à Londres à l'école de film là-bas, qui a fait 3 films avant, The Darien Gap, Next Stop Wonderland and Happy Accidents, qui a certainement été élu être un réalisateur à suivre dans les années qui suivent, et qui est venu ce soir présenter Session 9, un film de horreur, thriller, tout ce qu'on veut. Mr. Anderson, do you sleep well after making this movie?
Yes. Surprisingly, we shot this film at an actual abandoned mental hospital, an asylum, north of Boston for about 3 months. We lived in and around the asylum for 3 months. And surprisingly, after about a month or so, it became kind of like home. We sort of just hung out there, we had our lunches there, and it became like a big soundstage for us. So in some ways, the process of making a movie is very mundane. It's not that interesting, not that dramatic. It's only sort of after the fact that it becomes dramatic. So it was a job, like anything else, just a simple job.
Was it easy to secure that location? Because when you see the movie, there must have been safety hazards while shooting in that building.
There were numerous safety hazards. The building was falling apart, floors were falling down, ceilings were collapsing while we were there. Our director of photography actually had an accident in which she ran into a medical dental drill that actually fell into her eye and almost gave her a premature lobotomy of some sort. So there were many hazards, but surprisingly we all walked out of there alive at the end of the day, after 3 months, yeah.
You were a co-scriptwriter. Where came the idea of the film?
The idea for the film, first of all, came out of our desire to make a horror movie that was more about, more of a psychological horror movie, more about what goes on in the mind than about monsters jumping out of closets and such. We wanted to do a film that was about a growing sense of dread and menace. And we also had this location in mind when we wrote the script. We traveled there and spent a lot of time researching the facility and learning about it. And a lot of the stories in the movie actually come from the actual building and the asylum, the history of the asylum itself. So it was kind of a desire to just do something that would get under your skin, you know, like creepy horror movie. Haven't seen many of them, in the past couple of years.
And didn't the producers pressure you to put some more blood or gore in it for the young generation of moviegoers, the popcorn generation?
No, we didn't want to do a slasher picture. We wanted it to be. I think to me the creepiest horror movies are the ones in which the violence and the horror are more implied and happen off screen, and you sense that something awful is going to happen, but you don't necessarily need to see it. And that's sort of what we intended to do with this film. The producers were happy with the result. They weren't interested in making a slasher picture, nor were we.
Est-ce qu'il y a des questions dans le public?
Vragen in het publiek? Iemand? Allemaal nog bang? Oké. How did you get actors like David Caruso and Peter Mullen to play in your movie?
Caruso read the script, really enjoyed it, and was interested in doing a movie where he could sort of be the villain in a way, or at least be a red herring in the film. Peter Mullen read the script as well. We sent it to him, and I had seen him in the film My Name is Joe, which was so phenomenal. And he's a kind of actor who can play a working class character, but also play it with a lot of sympathy. Like you feel for the guy at the same time. He's going through this awful experience. So he was interested in the psychological elements of the character, and it was all about the script. I mean, as it always is, it's usually about the material. If the actors are good actors and smart actors and they understand the script and they want to partake,
A lot of your movie is building up a tension without actually happening something. How do you manage to keep that controlled?
Well, I think in the end, the movie kind of has a kind of cathartic release moment. I mean, it gets fairly violent towards the end of the movie, but the idea again was to have it build slowly. I mean, so many movies that I see now tend to be, they don't hold back. They give you the scares without any build-up. There's no sense of suspense. We wanted to do a film that was much more about a growing, creeping sense of dread and menace, and that's what we set out to do. And we didn't want to do a film that was really so much about special effects. In fact, there's only one minor special effect in the movie. It's much more of a character piece than it is a special effect thriller movie, I would say.
Iemand in het publiek?
Always probably the mic. Oh.
You want to use this?
I know which format you used for the movie.
What format? The movie was shot in a high definition 24 frame per second format. It wasn't film. It's transferred to 35 millimeter after we shot it, but it's the same format that George Lucas is using in the new Star Wars movie. It's kind of, it just got on the market when we started shooting the film, so we got a special deal to use the cameras very cheap. So we took advantage of that. But I think it's a pretty interesting format, and I think that once it's perfected over the course of the next few years, I think 35 millimeter film is probably going to sort of move away. I mean, it has a lot of advantages in a way. The digital format. If you can still maintain that film look, yet shoot it digitally, why not? Save a lot of money.
Nog iemand?
Oui, bonsoir. Une simple question. Est-ce que les travaux ont pu être terminés en une semaine?
Did they manage to finish the works in 1 week?
Well, they weren't doing the whole building. They were just doing one portion of the building. So it's a movie. Suspend your disbelief.
When we look at your previous films, Next Up Wonderland, Happy Accidents, it seems you've been more or less typecast as the romantic guy director. Then you made this really creepy horror flick with Session 9.
Yeah.
Which one is the real Brad Anderson?
Well, I mean, every director, every filmmaker, storyteller has a range of kind of stories that interest him or her. And for me, I've always been interested in horror films, psychological horror films particularly, and I've always wanted to do one. And you know, in some ways, both the romantic comedy films and this film are relationship movies. You know, I mean, there's relationships going on in Session 9 between the characters. They're not romantic relationships. They're relationships that deal with paranoia and fear. So in some ways, I think I took a lot of my experience making romantic comedies and funneled it into this film in terms of making a story that is about the relationship between these five guys and the kind of creepy paranoia and fear that evolves between them, you know. So I see a through line, you know, from my romantic films to this movie, and I would like to continue to make these kinds of films because I think there's a lot of they're more visually oriented, you know. They're not all talk. They're more about telling a story with images and telling a story with editing and montage and music, sound effects. It's a much more, in some ways, gratifying experience as a filmmaker to do a movie like this than it is to do a more mainstream sort of romantic comedy.
In all your films, you write on the script and you also direct. Is this a choice you make, or is this just by coincidence?
It's a choice. When you write and you direct and you then edit your own films, you're in control of the process from the very get-go, and it allows you to truly realize your vision as a filmmaker. So I like to write and direct my own material because it gives me the comfort level to do what I want to do. You know, I'm not dependent as much on other people or whatever, and so at least for the few films that I've done up to this point have all been movies that I've generated in my head and directed and then edited as well. The editing process to me is just as crucial as the writing process in terms of being in control of your story and making it the kind of movie that you want to make it. I think all directors in some ways are editors. It's all about, in a way, it's all about the editing process, you know.
Nog vragen in het publiek? And maybe one of those questions we ask a lot of the directors who are here. If you had the chance to direct a sequel to one of those really big movies like, say, Star Wars or Indiana Jones, or you can name it, you can pick your movie, which one would you do?
Wow, that's a heavy question. I think probably Hollywood's in the business of making sequels now. I'm sure it's already being done as we speak. But I'd love to see, I don't know, one of my favorite films that was very inspirational in Session 9 actually was this film, Don't Look Now, Nicholas Roeg's film. Creepy sort of horror film set in Venice in the 70s. I would love to see how that story continues. What happens to now that Donald Sutherland is dead at the end of the movie, what happens with the little red dwarf? Where does she go? What happens to the murder?
Would you make a Session 10?
Session 10, it's already in the works. Yeah, we got a studio deal. It's going to be bigger, bolder.
On another planet, probably.
Right, exactly. Session 9 from outer space.
Are there any concrete plans for a new movie? Are you working on something right now?
Yeah, I'm doing I've got a few things I'm working on. Nothing's set in stone, but hopefully by this summer or fall I'll be doing another movie. Actually, I'm working on a horror movie for Jersey Films based on a book called Lost Girls that hopefully we'll get it in production in the fall. But it's a sort of psychological thriller, you know, that kind of a thing. So it remains to be seen. Writing, lots of writing. That's really what I'm doing right now.
Thank you for this
Thank
wonderful
you.
interview and for this marvelous film. Un grand applaudissement pour Monsieur Anderson. Merci.
Big applaus.
Thanks.
All right.
I gotta say? Oh. Oh, yeah. Sure.
I really enjoyed the film.
Oh, thanks.
Do you mind signing this?
Yeah, not at all.
I really enjoyed it.
Thanks. Just sign it or?
I'll just sign it if you want. Just let us know.
All right.
That was really great show.
We're set out to do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Some room here.
Yeah, yeah.
Great movie, very intense.
Yeah.
Built up the tension. Great, thanks very much.
Thanks.
Yeah, was the film's ending the original intended ending?
We'll see the DVD. There's a DVD has another ending on it, actually.
So it was the intended ending.
No. There's another ending on the DVD that was the scripted ending.
I see. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks. Yeah.
Please. Patrick.
Patrick?
Patrick, yes.
Thanks. Bart?
Yeah.
Thanks. Misha? Thanks. Sign it. Thanks. Cool. Ah. Wow, you're very organized.
And this is my name. I just give you the paper.
Ashley Davidson,
Yes,
a mannequin actress.
yes. Also, I studied also photography and painting.
Oh yeah?
Yes, and I prepare scenery.
Oh wow. Cool.
It's also a scenery for trailer.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh great.
You take your pens.
This is mine?
Yeah,
Oh, all right.
I think.
Thank you.
Bye.
She wants just to say that she appreciates very a lot your film.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for coming.
Maybe you can just write in English if you want. Okay, to my to Crystal is the name. It's
Crystal?
That's C-R-I.
YST. Yeah.
Yeah.
This?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Would be very pleased to have a picture with you if you don't mind.
For you. All right,
Eternal. This is eternal.
put my stamp in your book.